Okay, according to my watch, it's time to call the Board of Directors regular meeting agenda for Monday, April 17th. Item number 2, announcement and verification of remote meeting participation pursuant to AB 2449 or GC 54953 subsection B. Pardon?
And we don't have anybody attending remotely, so
Okay.
we don't need to cover.
Excuse me.
All right. Item 3, Pledge of Allegiance. Amber, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a roll call, please.
Director Meyerhoffen.
Here.
Director Duff.
Present.
Director Griffith.
Present.
Vice President Sewell.
Here.
And President Martin.
Present.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Okay. Counselor, would you inform us the rules of procedure?
Yes, according to the rules of procedure adopted by the Board of Directors, all noticed meetings are conducted using Rosenberg's Rules of Order as a procedural guideline. Directors should refrain from responding directly to public comments at meetings of the board. The president of the board presides at all meetings and all points of order and procedure during meetings. The president is responsible for the maintenance of order and decorum at all board meetings. No person should be allowed to speak who has not first been recognized by the president. No member of the board should speak more than once upon any one subject until every other member of the board wishing to speak on that subject shall have been given the opportunity to speak. No board member shall interfere with the orderly progress of a board meeting. The board president regulates the amount of time to be dedicated to a particular agenda item.
Thank you, Counselor. Item 6, public input. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters within the board's jurisdiction. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less. State law prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the agenda. We have one person here. Please go to the podium and state your name. And welcome to our board meeting.
Always done it on the phone, so this is interesting.
It's interesting for us to have a member of the public present. That's always.
Oh, not usually people don't come. Sorry.
Well, it's been a while since.
I'm strange. My name is Marie Dubois, and I've owned a home here in Desert Hot Springs for well, I guess 50 years or something like that. 1972. Have a septic tank on our street. Have been begging for the sewer to come in for a long time. They sent us letters for like 20 years. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. In 2018, I believe, 2019, I would come to these meetings with John Solaire and April, and they did a vote, and it was everybody on our street, which is Parma Drive. You know, said, yes, we would like a sewer. So I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. I have to get my septic tank pumped about every 6 months, cost me $400 each time. I'm on Social Security, and that money is a lot out of my pocket. And I don't have the $12,000, which I would rather give to you guys. Oh, sorry, I'd rather give to you guys, you know, to get a sewer in, because I know then you would charge us for the sewer itself. And then the sewer charge, the monthly sewer charge that you guys charge, whatever it is, $40, $50 a month or whatever. I'd rather give it to you guys. Anyways, I don't have $12,000 to get it fixed. Or get a new one, I should say. So anyways, I'm begging and hoping, and it's not just me that's having issues. There's like at least 15 places on my street, and about 10 of them are all having trouble besides myself. And, you know, it's, you know, we're supposed to be so conscious of, our earth and not pollute it and take care of it. And I figure all that septic tank stuff is going into our groundwater, which we use a lot of groundwater. So I'm hoping and praying that you guys get us a sewer on our street soon. And I'm hoping this new place that you have on Indian that's going to accept all the sewer water because the other one's full. I'm hoping maybe that will help, revenue, if you hook us up, that'll give you guys, stuff, money. So anyways, I'm just praying that we get a sewer on our street,
Okay.
basically. And I probably already used my 3 minutes. So I'm begging for a sewer, and I know you guys don't get to answer me back, unfortunately.
Well, I do have on the card you filled out, the speaker card, the little piece of paper. Did you
Mhm.
have your phone number on that?
I did put my home phone number, my landline.
One member of our staff will reach out and give you an update on the sewer.
Yeah, I used to talk to Victoria when Victoria, that was on a regular basis, and then Marion took, I guess, over, and I have bothered Marion quite a few times, but I guess I just kind of, put it on the back burner. And anyways, I hope, I hope we can, get a sewer on our street. That's all I can say, because I have to go to friend's house to take a shower. I only flush my toilet. I know it's disgusting once a day, but at least I live alone. And it's just, I have to be very careful, with what water goes into my septic tank. And I just figure at 71 years old, I shouldn't have to live like that. I'd like a sewer like everybody else, and lead a normal life. So I hope grant money is coming in, as you say you need. And I hope you do, now that you're getting that new place. So there's room for our sewer water to,
Yes.
maybe the holdup was because you didn't want to have us have a sewer, because then it's got to go to the old plant. But now you've got a new plant. So
Mhm.
I'm hoping we can get a sewer, because like I said, it's not just me. It's the people next to me. They ended up spending $7,000 and having a new system put in, and everybody's having trouble, not just me.
As I said, we'll have staff reach out to you and
Okay, all right.
give you an update.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comment.
What? Can I say just one?
No, it's not on the agenda. Public comments.
I just wanted to say thanks for
Well, you could have said
Support.
thanks.
thanks for getting up and supporting the sewers, because we believe, like you do, that they are necessary for this community.
That's more than a thanks, Arden. Okay. Are there any members of the public on the phone that wish to comment? Dory?
President Martin, there is not.
Okay, moving on to item 7, Human Resources Report.
All right. Thank you, President Martin. All right. Well, I have the pleasure of introducing our new dedicated and loyal MSWD employee, Julio Martinez. And so we'll start, who joins us as a Field Operations Technician 2 position. Julio was a previous employee and returned to the district last month. He has more than 4 years of experience in the water industry and has previously worked in the distribution and production department. Julio holds an associate's degree in water technology and a water distribution operator grade 3 certificate complement, and a water treatment operator T2 certificate. And before I get Jeff on the line here, I know Julio, and we were really happy to get him the first time, and we're even more happy that he's back with us as part of the family. So, Jeff, you want to take it from there?
Yeah, thank you, Arden. We are excited to have Julio back in the department. As Arden was saying, he was a previous employee, and he's done really, really well with the construction and maintenance department and also the water production department. So he comes with, wearing the multiple hats, which is very good for the district when, we need somebody in emergencies that is, educated in, more than just C&M. Julio is stuck in traffic right now. He's headed out for emergency as we speak. I don't think he's gonna make it. He's stuck on the 10 freeway with everybody else right now. So he wanted to say a few words, but I don't believe he made it on the line.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Well, just it was fun because I saw the previous city manager for Indio, Dan Martinez, which is his uncle, and I got to tell him that we had Julio back with us, so that was fun. Next is we'll first of all start out with next is our anniversaries, and so we'll start out with we want to honor our water production operator Adam Wagner, who's celebrating his first year with the district. He's been a lot of fun. I've talked to him a number of times. Adam recently completed his water distribution operator grade 3 certification, holds a certificate in the water supply technology T2, another feather in his hat, and collection systems maintenance grade 1. He has assimilated well into the MSWD team. He's just got a good attitude, and whenever I talk to him, and some of you have met him at the employee appreciation dinner or lunch, excuse me, and we're very proud of his work. So I think Chad is going to say a few things about Adam. So with that, Chad, you want to take it from here?
Sure. Thank you, Arden. President Martin, members of the board, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to have Adam as part of the team. It's been a pleasure to have him on the team. He's new to the water industry, now just going on just a little over a year now, but he has learned very quickly, and he continues just to excel in his certifications and just continuing to expand his knowledge and education just continually. So it's been really good to see him grow, and it's been a great opportunity to have him as part of the team. I look forward to having him here, hopefully for quite a bit longer. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chad. We also have another employee that's been here for a year, Jacob Mosqueda. He's a wastewater treatment plant operator 1. Jacob, who has officially been a full-time employee for just over 1 year. He first joined the district as a temporary employee and entered into our wastewater treatment plant operator and training program. We love that. Really good to get to know them before they actually get to be, a member of the team. Through his training, he's gained experience and knowledge and needed to pass his grade 1 wastewater operator exam and eventually became a full-time employee at the district. And so here to introduce him is Lee Boyer, and welcome aboard. Good to have you through the first year, Jacob.
Thank you, General Manager Wong. Good afternoon, President Martin, members of the board. Yeah, Jacob, he did start as an OIT, as a temporary, and he excelled in that. And we liked it so much that we hired him on as full time. In the past year, he's expanded his knowledge base and his duties of what he can do at the plant. We don't have to hold his hand anymore like we used to before he became an employee. He's now able to run the belt press by himself. He's really taking it on, and he's working hard studying to get his grade 2 so he can actually start helping out with standby duties. So, Jacob, would you like to say anything? And thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's actually been a real good privilege working here. If I have to wake up and I don't dread coming to work, it's a good sign. So, I'm just privileged to be here and just hope that I continue to expand and learn and see the city progress within the water industry.
Thank you, Jacob.
Okay. Thank you, Jacob. And thank you, Lee.
Welcome.
All right. Next, the next 2, as a matter of fact, represent 47 years of experience with the district. And I have to refrain from telling too many stories about both of them because I have a few. First is our customer service rep, Lisa Pelton, who's been with the district for over 20 years. And she was having Cody and when I first got here. And so I didn't even get to meet her until I had been here a little while. She's a resident of Desert Hot Springs. She has deep ties to the community and has built great relationships, knows a lot of people here. Having worked in our customer service and engineering and accounting departments during the last 20 years, she's become the go-to person for other departments needing customer service assistance, and we need that every day. I can't say enough good things about Lisa. She truly is an asset to our customer service team and to this district. And it is evident that she enjoys her job and is dedicated. She is so much fun to have around and has always had a great attitude. So I'm going to stop before I tell you something I shouldn't about Lisa. Oh, not just kidding. April, do you have something you would like to add?
Of course. Thank you, General Manager Wallum. Good afternoon, President Martin and members of the board. Lisa has been an exceptional employee. She is, as you said, a go-to for employees of the district, different departments. Customers have built a relationship with Lisa over the years. So we're very grateful for her. She's always willing to take on a challenge and learn something new. Believe it or not, after 20 years, even Lisa's learning new things. I think we all learn every single day, but she's a tremendous support to the department, and we're really happy to have her. Lisa did decline to say anything, but I know she wanted to say thank you to everyone for the kind words.
Okay, thank you, April.
you.
Yeah, Lisa is just so much fun to have here, and she is a very good resource for customer service.
Absolutely.
All right, next is Mr. Don Mathene, 27 years. Don holds many state water control board certifications, including the Cross Connection Specialist certification, Water Treatment 2 and Water Distribution 4. He knows the district quite well, like the back of his hand. He's built relationships in the field, and many people know him in the community. He takes great pride in his work, being the steward of our water and his team. He supervises and directs the work of his field crew and is very engaged in the field operations department's activities, including our construction and maintenance and customer service. You know, Don has just been one of those people that has always been here when I've seen him up at Pappy and Harriet's when I've been up there a little bit. So he is a friend and as well as a longtime employee. And Mr. Danny Friend is going to give us some additional words, and he's here today too.
I am. Thank you very much, General Manager Wallum. Good afternoon, President Martin, members of the board. Don, actually, what General Manager Wallum said is I don't know if I can add much to it. He is well respected in the community. He has a tough job as a field service supervisor. Many of you know he is the front line for the field customer service component. Oftentimes when it reaches Don, it's generally with a customer that hasn't been the happiest, or they're not happy with the decision or the result of what others have provided already. So he does that often with a smile, with a positive attitude, most importantly with professionalism. I will say that the district's been lucky to have Don for the last 27 years in that capacity. I'll also like to say, for those that don't know, Don has recently submitted his retirement date, and his last date with the district will be April 28th. It's fast coming here, less than 2 weeks away. So, Don, thank you for dedicating your 27 years to MSWD in our community. And Don is here and would like to speak.
Okay.
Thank you.
Don, come on up.
Come on up, Don.
Good afternoon, General Manager Wallum, President Russ Martin, and the Board of Directors. Just like to say thank you for the opportunity that I've had over the years. It's been a privilege to work for Mission Springs Water District, serve the community of Mission Springs, Desert Hot Springs. And it's been
quite a ride all through the years, and probably gonna miss it a little bit.
We'll miss you.
But thank you very much, and y'all have a good day and good luck.
Don't leave just yet. You know, when you go down the hallway, you see all these awards that this water district has won. And yes, we do provide an amazing resource. The water that's provided is exceptional within our thing. But we wouldn't have those awards were it not for the employees such as yourself and the work that you do. So it's really greatly appreciated. That's awesome. Any other members of the board wishing to comment?
Thank you for your years of service here. I know the city appreciates it too. I wish you well in your retirement. And that first day you wake up and you're supposed to go to work, just roll back over and don't worry about it.
Well, I haven't another work at home.
It does.
And that's kind of one of the reasons why it kind of
Ivan?
prompted that retirement.
Yeah, I'll just echo what's already been said, but I hope you have a happy and fun retirement, and hopefully we'll still see you around.
Thank you.
Yeah. Amber?
Thank you for everything you've done over the decades that you've been here in the community working to serve the people. And while you're trying to enjoy your retirement, sounds like you're going to be pretty busy, but if that gets to be too much, just come back.
Yeah, I already said that. I come to work to get a break.
Robert?
I just can echo what everybody else said, and enjoy your retirement. We all look forward to that day. And so yours is fast approaching and it'll be here before you know it. So congratulations.
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don. It happens sooner than you think, doesn't it?
That's fine.
Okay, that concludes my presentation for today.
Okay. With that, we'll move on to item 8, public hearing. Resolution 2023-06 to collect sewer fees on the tax roll. It's recommended to adopt resolution 2023-06, electing to collect sewer user fees on the tax roll under California Health and Safety Code section 5470. Et sec. I know that's Latin, but I can't remember what it stands for.
Satirize, so
What
I
it
know.
means.
That's what
Pardon, you wanna?
Not, well, I don't have much new to add, but Arturo is here to kind of go give you some background. So everyone understands that this is nothing to do with, well, with the rates. Yeah, actually, but go on, Arturo.
Thank you, General Manager Wallum and President Martin and distinguished members of the board. Actually, what this does, it saves the district money because instead of having a bill that includes a sewer charge for some of our customers, including renters, we put it on the property taxes, eliminating a lot of those issues that arise from having a bill that sometimes it's a little bit less manageable for some of our customers. And that's the purpose of why we brought this up in the first place, to put it on the property taxes. We do belong to the teeter plan with the county, which means if someone does not pay their property taxes, the county does pay us, and then they resolve the matter with the customers. So that's where a lot of the savings comes in, and customers only have to deal with the district with their water bill. So this year we're looking to, we have increased to about 9,000 accounts connected to sewer now. And of those, a lot of those are the ones we're sending to the property taxes are residential, which account for 95% of the accounts, for a total of $6.7 million that we're planning to send to the county. Of that 6.7 million, 390,000 are also the city utility tax, which also has to be attached to the charges for those accounts that are within city limits. And so that's basically what we're getting ready to do. Once the boards approve the amount sent to the property taxes and the amounts, we turn around and send a letter to our customers alerting them that they do have the opportunity to prepay those charges so they don't see it on their property taxes. A lot of our customers do also have a situation where they don't have a mortgage, and so a lot of that, or they do have a mortgage, and that increases their mortgage payment when it gets calculated into their escrow accounts. So that's another reason why we wanted to do this for our customers. sooner than later, because these are due to the county in August. This gives them enough time to prepay it. The district collects those funds up front, and our customers don't have to worry about a property tax payment later down the line. And at this point, I'll answer any other questions.
Okay, if you have any questions, let's start with Amber now. Send down here.
Just a couple. So to be clear, the current process is the same for everyone, or do we have some that are already rolled to the property taxes automatically?
No, this is a process we follow every single year before we do send any property taxes. The ones that customers might see now are probably those that are delinquent and have not been paid. That's the only time that probably see other charges in there for that reason.
Okay, and so this change will remove that property owner's option to pay prior to it going to their taxes?
Not at all.
They'll still have the option to pay outside of it going to their tax roll?
Up to June 30th before we do send it to the property taxes. Otherwise, they do not have that option.
Okay. And then the report said no change in fees, but I was looking at my tax bill here, and the charges were $646.04. But it actually on the report shows that there would be a $1.78 increase. And I know that's minuscule, but what is that for? Is that the county? Is that?
Actually, we calculate our rates on a daily basis. In 2024, February has an extra day, which accounts for that extra amount. However, we're rolling that back right now with our software is outdated, and we cannot simply go in there and make those changes as soon as we want to do them. We are going back to roll that back and make it a monthly charge so that it's only going to be that exact amount as last year. So we're working on that right now. So this was actually the preliminary report, but that amount's actually going to be less to match last year, to base it off of that's 365 days versus 366, which are included in this report for the following year.
Okay. Yeah. And then you had mentioned $80,000 savings. I'm assuming that was a lot of labor in collections. We're still obviously we're not lowering our workforce. So where will that worker be reallocated? Where will they be spending their time if they're no longer doing this?
This is already budgeted for at the beginning of the year to reallocate their hours. And again, because we have done it every single year, this is the number that we estimate is saving already based on their workload and the things that they're already doing. Including some of the improvements we brought to the board with those extra meetings we've set up for customers. Now that the lobby's reopened, there's more interaction with customers and a lot more payments that have been, we've had some issues of lost payments and reconciliations that we have to do now that we have not been done in the past. So that's where a lot of that time is being spent, in addition to a lot of improvements that we still need to make for our customers.
Thank you very much.
Okay. How long have we been doing this now?
For 6 years.
6 years.
Oh.
Sorry.
That's okay. No. Robert.
I really just want to reiterate, this is kind of like they do with the tax, with the disposal fees going on the tax rolls every year. Also, it's just every year we do this. It's just a reiteration. This is not a new procedure. Yeah. Okay. I have no issues.
Okay. Ted?
They'll no longer be able to have the choice of paying by the month, is what this really says.
Correct.
How many customers do we have now paying by the month?
Barely. The only ones that are paying by the month are the ones that connected throughout the year. And we're now charging them in their water account until we catch them up through June 30th. So I would say roughly 100 at the most.
So we're approaching 14,000 customers. We only have 100 of them that are paying by the month.
Correct. 14,000 water accounts, 9,000 that are connected to sewer.
9,000 that are connected to sewer. And only 100 out of those 9,000 are paying by the month.
Residential accounts, correct. All the commercial accounts, because we cannot estimate their water usage and cost, those still get charged on their water account.
So how is this going to save $80,000 if we only have 100 customers doing it?
Because now we have 9,000 customers that are going to be paying on their property taxes instead of having to pay at the water district, including some of the renters that had to now, some of their water accounts included that $40 a month charge for sewer. It was somewhat difficult having to set up payment plans, having to reach out to them because they were delinquent on their accounts. That's a lot of time savings.
But we're not talking about 100, we're talking about 9,000.
You're talking about 9,000 people that are paying monthly?
No. If we didn't put it on the tax roll, they would be paying monthly, but the savings
Okay.
from us going to
So-
monthly to the tax roll, we estimate, but it's already been calculated in when we assume the budget. So this is already factored in. This is just an up to an amount that we figure we're saving by going to this type of payment plan, which is I think all of the utilities.
Well,
do this.
I don't know what's going on here, but the way I'm seeing this is we have 100 customers out of the 9,000 that are paying monthly right now at $50 a month, right?
Correct.
Okay. So those 100 customers out of the 9,000 will now be on the tax rolls, and by doing that, we're gonna save $80,000.
No, on the list that I provided shows 9,000 roughly accounts that are going to the property taxes. Prior to us doing that, that's the amount that we were spending on the time with customers, helping them with their bill, setting up payment plans and delinquent accounts. And by doing that, we have been able to save that amount throughout the years. And that's what the savings is for. Should we go backwards and start charging on a monthly basis, it would cost the district about that $80,000 more if we did that.
My problem is there's a lot of people out there just have a hard time saving up, pay their property taxes because they have an emergency or something. So now if they take away, they won't be able to pay by the month. Then property tax comes and they get slammed and they can't pay the property tax because they won't, you could pay six months at a time, but still it's hard sometimes to get that done. And we have a lot of folks this could cause them to fall behind and be delinquent in their property taxes and lose their homes.
Yeah, in the prepayment letter that we send out, we do provide that information to our customers, letting them know that we understand that is an issue for some of them. And we give them options to start saving on a monthly basis because now they don't have to pay the district that monthly charge.
If a kid gets in an accident or some, medical or whatever, and they need a car or something, the money that they're trying to save is now being spent and now they're in a jam. So taking this option away from them, I don't agree with it. Thank you.
Good.
No questions. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you. And with that in mind, anything further from Martin?
Nothing further.
Okay. With that in mind, I will entertain a motion to adopt resolution 2023-06, electing to collect sewer user fees on the tax roll under California Health and Safety Code, section 5470 et sequitur. Do I hear a motion?
Did we close the public hearing?
I'm sorry, you're right. We did not close.
We did not. Yeah.
Close the public hearing. All right. Anything else? Okay. With that, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move the item.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
No.
Director Duff,
Yes.
Director Griffith,
Aye.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. Moving on to item 9, resolution 2023-07. Request board authorization to move from level 2 to level 1 of the Mission Springs Water District shortage contingency plan. Pardon?
I think that we have a presentation, and is Marianne gonna do that?
No, I can do that.
Oh, you're gonna do that? Okay.
Why is it not? And we do have an insert in our agenda packet outlining the details of the resolution. It was provided this morning. Or this afternoon, I mean.
Yes, thank you, President Martin, members of the board, public. Just a very short presentation. I wanted to add some clarity now that we have the presentation available. As you recall, on March 23rd, Governor Newsom eased the drought restrictions and recognized some regions and communities continue to experience water supply shortages despite the recent storms. However, his executive order 523 actually ends the voluntary 15% conservation and talks about reducing the level of emergency from a level 2 to a level 1. That typically would lead to the State Water Board to then also do the same, which would be go from a level 2 to a level 1. However, it is thought that the State Water Board would take action to rescind the emergency regulation as early as April 18th. We have found that the resolution is not moving forward. They've indicated to some that they are not going to change the emergency regulation, instead let the emergency regulation sunset on June 10th. As we talked about on Thursday, other agencies have started moving from a level 2 to a level 1. And that was what led us to put this in your agenda packet. With that being said, in our discussions on Thursday, it was talked about possibly just allowing this to sunset as it is. Therefore, we then simply changed the resolution. That was why we changed the resolution from Thursday to today. What you see on the presentation right now, you'll see the resolution 2218, which is from June 1st of last year. What you see is now the resolution that was placed in front of you, 231707. What we did on the most recent resolution was simply remove section 3. Only section 1 remains. What's important distinguishing between the two is section 3, this resolution shall remain in effect until and unless the State Water Resources Control Board determines it is no longer necessary due to change conditions, or unless the State Water Resources Control Board renews the regulation due to continued drought conditions as described in the Water Code. This was really setting us up to continue with the drought regulations. However, we felt it necessary to make sure that we have in a resolution to rescind it versus allowing it to sunset. That's why section 1 is now in your packet, and staff recommendation is to move forward with the passage of the adoption of resolution 2307. It will then say that the district rescinds resolution 2022-16 and implements level 1 of its water shortage contingency plan as outlined in the demand reduction action set forth in table 4 of the plan to take effect immediately upon the State Water Resources Control Board amending its emergency regulation 2022-18 in a manner that allows to return to level 1 of the plan. Now, that is what is in the current resolution. If the board would like to rescind or move from 2 to 1 before that, we can do that at this point by amendment. But that is completely up to the board. As it's established now, or as it's set up, presented, it will simply sunset on June 10th unless the state board does something different. With that ends my presentation. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Ted?
Who's enforcing these regulations now?
As far as the drought contingency plan, we within our own service area would enforce that. And the difference, as we talked about, between a level 2 and a level 1 is really the daytime watering. That seems to be the most significant change between level 2 and level 1.
Let me try this again. So who, as we here, who's on staff, do we have a designated person that's driving around looking, or just when somebody calls in, or, because I've never seen anybody out there, or I've ever heard of anybody being given a citation for anything for water use?
We have not issued any citations during this drought period or since this June 1st. But when you ask the question, who is actually out enforcing that? It's a responsibility of all district staff as we're going up and down the roads and the things of that nature to make sure that if something's happening, we then reach out to that customer, or they bring it into customer service staff, and then we go out and reach out to them from that perspective. When we get phone calls of water wasters, we go out and investigate those activities. We do meet with the property owners. And as we mentioned on Thursday, to date, everyone we've reached out to has fixed the issue or made changes so they're not watering at night or fixed a leaking sprinkler. So from that perspective, we've got a very very vigilant group of customers that realize that they don't want to waste water either.
Unless you're very big, this is the way most districts are handling this. They're not, there's, you know, they will have people out there, but it's virtually impossible for, say, Coachella Valley Water District to police, you know, all of this. So they depend on reports from other customers, or, you know, if somebody sees it, that this is happening. And if that, and like Brian says, when we do hear that, we go out and talk to the customer, they're very receptive to changing their way of watering. It's pretty much, most people really do want to comply, and this, and our demand is lower than, you know, any in the valley, a fraction of what DWA and CVWD's per capita usage is. So we're doing pretty well.
Well, it's neither here nor there, but I don't agree with you there. I've seen fire hydrant leaking for a couple of years, without exaggerating, probably was leaking more than that. I've seen where there's bubblers at a apartment complex. I think I counted 100 on one side, and I looked down the other side and I quit counting. There was no plants there, but the bubblers were still going on. The little micro bubblers were still going on. And until I posted this stuff on the Facebook, it never got taken care of. And even after that, it was a long time before the apartment complex did. And so no, I don't think so. That I don't agree with what you guys are saying. So basically, personally, I'd like to see this just sunset and be done with it.
Okay, Ivan?
I'm fine with it sunsetting, and if it were to sunset, does it just revert to the level 1?
It does. It goes from level 2 to level 1.
Yes.
Okay. And then one thing, I just don't know if I'm misunderstanding, but that first line of section 1 under 2023-07, should that be 2022-18? Is that a typo?
It is a typo. Yes, it is. It should be 18. Thank you.
0, yeah, just 18.
And that's all I have.
Okay, Amber?
No questions. Thank you.
Robert?
I made my comments Thursday. I just think if the State Water Resources Board thinks it's best to just let it sunset, I think it's best to go along with them. And so it's only another 6 weeks, if that, so.
Okay, I concur. Is anybody like to make a motion? It would be an amended motion. Because we're talking about sunsetting. You want to put that in language for the?
Excuse me, actually, it would not be an amendment.
What's that?
When we changed them out between Thursday and the posting of this agenda, what you have in front of you was the posted resolution.
Would anybody like to make a motion to approve resolution 2023-07?
I'll move.
And I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen?
Yes.
Director Duff?
Yes.
Director Griffith?
Aye.
Vice President Sewell?
Yes.
President Martin?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. Moving on to item 10, accept single audit report for the year ended June 20th, 2022. It's recommended to review and accept the audited single audit report as presented by Rogers and Anderson, Melody, and Scott LLP. Pardon?
Arturo's here. He may have some additional comments, but I think we explained what it was for. And again, what you're doing is just, we don't have any say as to what the audit says or can change anything there. It is what it is. We're just accepting it.
Okay.
Go on,
Arturo, go ahead.
Do you have anything?
Thank you, General Manager Wallem, President Martin, and members of the board. I do want to apologize about the timing of the report and how it came to you. We did get the state arrearage money back in January of 2022. I did reach out to the state. I said, okay, this money is coming from the federal government, which usually requires a single audit. Are we required to do one? because everything was so brand new, they were not sure about whether one was required because they were going to be audited by the federal government themselves for issuing those payments to the water agencies, and they thought that was going to be enough. I did include the letter from the Water Resources Control Board to show you the timing that they sent. Within a week, they wanted it done. Obviously, that couldn't be the case. And so I reached out to our auditors, quickly put together a engagement letter. And so what happened is usually the Yellow Book audit, single audit, requires a slew of verification because of the type of grants that the federal government issues, whether it's a school district, whether it's a hospital. There's specific items they have to review, such as, in a school district, student attendance, teacher certifications. With some of the hospitals, the same thing, some of the certifications that some of the doctors have to go through. This was a very simple information. We collect the money. After it had been approved by the state, we then turned around and deposited that money in the bank, $1.25 million, and posted it to our customers' accounts, reducing their balance, which is very straightforward. So the auditors quickly reviewed those listings, went back and forth with asking for verification of information. And it turned out that because it was only one federal grant passed through, that we did not actually need a single audit. The report that you have there today is an examination and honestly, mostly an answer to the state in regards to their request to us about the single audit. That suffices the need for what the state is requiring because we did not have any other grants. In the future, we will, and you'll probably see more of that. The last time we had a single audit was in 2014, when we had a lot of the Army Corps of Engineers and some of the assessment districts going on because, again, they are a federal agency. But otherwise, the reports show no issues, any findings or concerns, and that's what that letter is basically. Those 2 pages are basically telling you, the board, that we can approve and then basically send back to the state to meet their requirements for that audit.
Okay.
And I'll answer any questions.
Okay, Robert, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, Amber?
No, thank you.
Ted?
No.
Ivan? Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the single audit report for the year ended June 30th, 2022. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Yes.
Director Griffith,
Aye.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right. Moving on to item 11, Nancy Wright Regional Water Reclamation Facility update.
We have Steve here to provide that today.
Good afternoon, Steve. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, President Martin. Let me get my screen ready, and I will start the presentation. Okay, so good afternoon again, President Martin, members of the board. We'll go through our typical short presentation about progress on the Regional Water Reclamation Facility through the month of March. On the influent pump station, the contractor has been working on completing the influent pipeline, the 36-inch diameter VCP pipeline, which you see on the right-hand side of the screen, into the influent pump station. The influent pump station roof is being constructed in the photos in front of you, and the pipelines that now go to the headworks area from the pumps have been installed. In the headworks area, this is where we have the vortex grip cell removal chamber, flow monitoring equipment, trash racks to remove any debris from the system. Progress has continued on the headworks area for forming walls, completing the knockouts, and the picture in front of you is what it looks like currently, with most of those walls and form work being done. And now the contractor will move forward with completing the remaining portions and installing the equipment for the headworks area. Regarding the SBR tanks, all the perimeter walls and interior walls have been formed for the SBR tanks. So the contractor began this last month the water testing for the tanks to test for any leakage. So in the photo in front of you is a couple of the SBR tanks being filled with water. And then what we do from there is we go around, or the inspection team goes around and monitors any areas where there appears to be any leaking in any of the cracks or construction joints within the SBR tanks. If any are found, like the photo on the left-hand side, those are repaired and have to pass another leakage test prior to being passed for or marked off as approved and ready for use. The contractor continued on the yard piping. Doesn't seem like a lot, but all things big and small must be constructed on site. What you see in front of you is a 2-inch fire service line that goes through some interior portions of the site. That work was done over the last month. In addition, progress on the operations building. You can see a lot of the interior structure has been done and the exterior cladding is starting to go up. With again that nice dark brown crib wall for the split face block on the bottom with a nice tan color on top. And then this is a look at kind of the entrance to the blower room inside the operations building. And you can see they're working on the exterior and interior cladding throughout the operations building. And that's a photo. This photo is actually April 6th, I believe. So it was after the month of March, but I thought it showed a good photo of what that building is starting to really start to take shape now with all the cladding going on and actually becoming an enclosed structure. So with that, I'm happy to field any questions on the treatment plants.
Okay. Ivan, any questions?
Yeah, just my regular question. How's the timeline looking and any potential hangups or things?
Thank you, Director Sewell. Last we spoke with the state was the week before last, and the state confirmed that they're looking to turn around a bunch of the FBAs, the final budget approvals, this month. So we expect to get that back this month. That gives staff the month of May or basically a couple weeks to turn around our invoice package, turn that back into the state. It can make its way through the approvals process, and then the check would be issued ideally by July for the first reimbursement with the state. So that's what we've been advised by the state. That's the process the timeline they've kind of put us on.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Robert?
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay, Amber?
Thank you. Just a couple questions. In regards to the state, there was discussion recently about the amendment for the construction start dates. And previously, when we had discussed it, it came across, at least to my understanding, that this was something needing to be done later on, like at the third phase. But according to the state's recent response to you, it indicated that that was actually up to us. So have you made that amendment? And if so, have we taken into consideration whether or not that would potentially stall the approval of our FBA?
We have not started that amendment process yet. The reason being we're intentionally delaying to bid the last remaining component for the M2 collection system to make sure we don't have any other amendments that may be required of the funding agreement. Depending on where those bids come in, if it's over budget, we have the opportunity to ask for more funding, ask for that to be compensated in a number of different ways with the state. So we can go through that process now. That's a district decision. We're happy to do that. We can do that immediately. And to the second part of your question, no, the amendment for capturing construction costs from April of 2022 will not have an impact on the reimbursement process.
Great.
We can seek to get that reimbursed at a later date following an amendment of the agreement.
Great, thank you for that. Also on a completely different subject, do we have an outside QSP that's working on our construction site? Or is it someone internal that's handling those inspections?
It would be someone on the construction management team that's hired by Mission Springs is doing that.
Okay, and do you know that person? Do you see them? How often do you see them on the site?
Yeah, they're on site daily.
Daily, okay. Where can I find those reports that they do? At least I think there's a minimum requirement of weekly reports by the QSP, correction reports and such.
Director Duff, I don't have that answer in front of me, but I will find out where that information is and make sure that it makes it your way.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's all.
Okay, Robert, do you have anything?
No, I already said.
You already, okay. Good.
Yes, Brian and I, we went by there last week and I made the comment, I thought the roof would already be on. But then it dawned on me that you're probably putting the roof and the siding on in between different projects that are more important. Is that why it's kind of taking so long there?
That's a very good question. The main issue has been the high wind. This spring or the last couple months, we've had more leading into some rainfall in January. I think we only had 2 adverse weather delays that the contractor had submitted formally for through the end of 2022. However, I think we're up to about 16 or 17 days. And primarily those have been related to the 2 or 3 rain days, and the rest have all been high wind events. So it's nearly impossible for them to safely fly those roof panels in during the high wind event, which is why they've kind of switched to doing the exterior cladding, because they can manage that a little bit better and deal with the high wind at the ground level, but they're unable to do the roof structure until the weather permits.
That makes sense. It's been a while since I've been involved with any construction projects, but yeah, the high wind, trying to put those big panels on the roof, yeah, that makes sense, but it's coming along nicely, and I'd be looking forward to another tour down there when it's finished.
Director Meyerhoffen, to your point, they did start with the roof, but again, since the wind delays, they've years to just keep progress going on it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anything to add?
Nothing more to add.
Okay, all right. Moving on to Critical Services Center and Administration Building update. Steve, I assume that's you as well.
Well, that'll be Brian.
Brian? God, fool me again.
Thank you, President Martin. I have nothing to add to our Thursday's
Okay.
report.
All right. Okay. Just on a side note, related to this project, when were we planning on taking that tour of the facility in Highland?
We had to move into, we might have to move into.
Yeah, we were talking about sometime later this week or next week, but unfortunately we have not been able to make a decision with East Valley. Okay. So we're looking at the first week of May.
Okay.
So
okay. That's good. Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. We have item 13, approval of minutes, 14, register of demands, 15th, acceptance of the roof repairs, plumbing improvements, air conditioning, and electrical upgrades for the North Building Improvement Project at the Norton Wastewater Treatment Plant. Does anybody want to pull one of those items for discussion?
I would like to pull the register of demands and the general manager's report, please.
Okay, register of demands and what else?
Report.
Oh, that's not part of the consent.
Sorry.
But just the register of demands, okay. With that, go ahead, Amber.
I just had a couple questions, more clarifications. I believe Mr. Steha would probably be the best to answer these for me. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. I just had a couple questions just so that I can continue to learn the district and learn where some of our expenses are going. So first question, can you please remind me, if I've asked before, I apologize, what the City National Bank loan is?
The City National Bank loan, like most of all of the other loans, are for assessment districts. This was for assessment district 12, area D1. It's one of the ones that we've recently finished, and that's what that loan is paying for.
Perfect, thank you. And then on just a couple more, actually. The Ferguson Waterworks Neptune meter, are those for the 150 or 160 meters that were mentioned in? Okay.
Yes.
No more questions there. Thank you. And then manpower, I see we're spending about $6,700 a month for temporary employment. And I don't know if you're going to be the right person for this particular question, Mr. Steha, and I apologize. For GM report and grant, can I get an explanation as to why we have temporary employees working on that for us?
Yes, and it's a varied, several, employees that we do need throughout the district. And what you see in terms of the general manager's report is that we're contracting someone to put that together. What we end up doing is the employees pretty much put it in a folder, send it out, and they put it together and then send it back to us to do a final review. That takes quite some hours. And that's what that person is doing, including, pretty much crossing all the T's and all the I's on the grant so that we're ready by the time the state comes in and says, we're ready to go. They've actually worked with the state, this particular person. And so they're looking at all our paperwork, and when they review it, they're saying, you need to go back and change this, or that you need to go back and make these corrections, because he's seen it. He's worked with the state where they return things to him. And so we wanted to have someone that would be able to get us that money to us as fast as we could without any hesitation. And that's the main reason, honestly, why they're working on those grants.
Okay, so this person works here in the office, works remotely. Is it a contract work through Manpower then?
Remote work, all of the manpower are contracted employees.
Okay, thank you for that. And then AECOM Technical Services. Who's AECOM?
AECOM.
AECOM.
Can you?
$31,000.
AECOM is it's the old URS or the new URS, if you will, who designed the regional plant. And they are still working with us to do the construction and making sure there's any questions or anything during construction, or any modifications to the existing plans. They are also working with the district to revise the area M2 so we can go to construction. So AECOM is an engineering firm that was formerly actually purchased URS that did the original plans, and that's why they're still with us.
So they're working in addition to TKE and in addition to the other. Okay.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, different.
Okay, and I think that concluded my questions. Yes, it did. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the register of demands? Any comments? Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 14, register of demands.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a roll call vote, please.
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Yes.
Director Griffith,
Aye.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, moving on to the other two items on the consent agenda, the approval of minutes for March 16th, 2023, study session, and March 20th, 2023 board meeting. And also item 15, acceptance of the roof repairs, plumbing improvements, air conditioning, and electrical upgrades for the North Building Improvement Project at the Horton Wastewater Treatment Plant. Are there any questions or comments on either one of those two items? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve items 13 and 15 on the consent agenda.
So moved.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Yes.
Director Griffith,
Aye.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, item 16, director's reports. I gave mine on Thursday, so we'll move over to Ted.
Yes, sir. Went to the public officials luncheon here for, was it Desert Valley Building Association? And there were two speakers there, one from Indio and the other from Cathedral City. And it was very interesting how their cities laid out and what they were doing. And I couldn't help but think about our city and how things are laid out and how much more difficult it is for Desert Hot Springs to really get things done like they're doing over in Cathedral City and Indio. The next one here was the CSDA webinar. I found that to be intro to financing for board members. What I found interesting about that one was they spoke about how, like, we're in the process of trying to get the grant money, and how some agencies have actually gone into bankruptcy because they were counting on that grant money and then they didn't get it. I found that part to be kind of interesting. Hope we're not in that boat. And then the final one was the senior inspiration luncheon. I found that to be something new for me. I always wondered what went on there, and it's very interesting. We're the only, the Coachella Valley is the only people that are doing it. And it was really special for all the people who do volunteer their time. Other than that, I don't have anything else to say.
Okay, thank you. Ivan?
Yep, I have March 9th, also attended the DVBA Public Officials Luncheon. Like Director Meyerhoffen said, Indio and Cathedral City both gave presentations. Both were seeing a lot of commercial and residential growth. And Indio also talked about their recent rebranding. Overall, I thought it was a good meeting. March 14th, Coachella Valley Water District Board meeting. I attended virtually, pretty light agenda. One discussion they had was about the vacant LAFCO seat and how they were supporting their Vice President Estrada for the position. Other than that, nothing really significant to report. March 17th, Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce Legislative Breakfast. The speaker was our new Assemblyman, Greg Wallace, and he gave pretty much just a general overview of what he hopes to accomplish while he's in office. And I was really impressed by his presentation, and he went around individually, and I think he greeted just about every person in the room going table to table. So I was happy to meet him and thought he did a good job. March 22nd, Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce morning mixer, nothing significant to report. And then March 27th, I attended the Aqua Region 9 Salton Sea Tour. I thought it was a great tour. It was co-hosted by Patrick O'Dow with Salton Sea Authority and Coachella Valley Water District. The tour lasted nearly 10 hours, and we did a full trip around the Salton Sea. We were able to see quite a few different projects and hear from a lot of different stakeholders. And when you got to each project, they were pretty massive in size. And then you realize that that was just, you know, maybe 5% of the shoreline. So it's definitely a big undertaking. But I really did think they did a good job of presenting the issues. They'd have people hop on to our bus and give presentations as we hopped from one spot to another. And they had different representatives from Cahuilla Indian Tribe, California Department of Water Resources, Coachella Valley Water District, IID, a local farmer, Berkshire Hathaway Renewable Energy, a nonprofit working to save birds, and Scott Slater with Brownstein. So it was a bit of an information overload, but overall a good tour. And I'd say if they're doing it again, I'd recommend the rest of the board do it.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Amber?
Thank you. So I joined all of you on the March 7th plant tours, which again, we've spoken about several times, and it was very impressive. I also found particularly impressive the pride that you can see at our Horton plant amongst our workers and those in the laboratory. It was obvious that they take a lot of pride in the work that they're doing there, and it shows. Also on the 9th, I attended the CV Can March meeting, which was held at the Miracle Spring Spa. They're in the process of selecting 4 new board members. They also called out City of Desert Hot Springs to follow Palm Springs, Cat City, Palm Desert, and several other valley cities in reducing the tax rate to help keep their businesses in the valley here. They're really suffering quite a bit with the taxes and illegal market and such. I also received several inquiries from local cultivators asking how much longer they have to wait to connect to our wastewater. So I hope I'll be able to give them some good news soon. On the 14th, I attended the Desert Hot Springs Planning Commission meeting at City Hall. There really wasn't that much to report. On this particular meeting, they were just verifying and approving a couple different housing reports. I did want to speak on our recent April meeting, though, just briefly. The Planning Commission had a recent meeting this month that was quite lengthy, and I just wanted to commend our staff, those that showed up and those that had been communicating the issues at hand with the city, with one particular project that I'm sure we're all going to be watching closely. On the 22nd, I attended the San Gorgonio Pass meeting via Zoom. Very exciting things are happening with our Western neighbors, quite the mover and shakers. They've bought 62 acres of land for recharge ponds. They are helping the Antelope Valley clear some underground caverns to create some additional underground water storage sheds. They're just moving water all over, trying to secure our valley and the mountains around us. So it's quite exciting to hear. And I think that concludes my comments. It does. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert?
Okay, so I noticed something here. I think I'm the odd man out as always. In that everybody seems to go monthly with their reports. So like March. I always have been doing it from meeting to meeting. So I start mid-March and I go all the way up to here. And so maybe I'll switch next month. I'm not going to this month, but and I did leave all my stuff at work. I actually rushed here from work. So details are escaping me, but I did. The 21st, I did do a Desert Water Agency meeting. I also did that also on April 4th. Coachella Valley Water District on March 28th and April 11th. Also did a CSDA webinar on LAFCO with Director Duff, and I don't even remember the date. I think it was on a Tuesday. It was on a Tuesday. It was right after one of the other water agency meetings. Very interesting. I did attend the Corbs award dinner. We won awards. It was really nice to see employees get to participate in this stuff, and also nice to see that they could win some prizes while they're there. So full disclosure, I won my $25 Home Depot card. Haven't spent it yet. And then last week was the employee appreciation lunch, which was very nice to see, and to see lots of little raffle prizes there. I was a little despondent that I couldn't participate because I really wanted that plane ride at the Air Museum, but congratulations to the winner, who I think won multiple things that day. I forget his name, but he should have bought a lottery.
Sitting right over
Right
there.
back there, Kurt.
Oh, he won that one. No, what's the name of the other guy that won like 3 prizes? Alex, yeah, who I wanted to tell. I hope he picked a lottery ticket that day because he was a winner. Yeah, so Elf won the trip. So I hope you see Santa on that ride. All right. That's all I have.
Okay. One last comment I wanted to make on the awards that were made, the Corbs. We were the only water district that won 3 awards. In fact, no other water agency won 2 awards on there. So the fact that we won 3 of them is very impressive on our quality of work that our staff does. Moving on, general manager's report.
Okay, we do have Arturo here today, and then we'll follow up with Marion in her report.
Yes, thank you, General Manager Wallum, President Martin, and distinguished members of the board. I will quickly go over the internal financials summary for the month of March. As you can see, revenue is trending a little bit lower than budget, and it's basically timing when those amounts are coming in, connections to our system, and payments, and operating expenses are within line, ahead by 700,000. Overall, 370,000 in net operating income. And as you know, net operating basically means those are the things that we can control as employees, and trying to make sure that we're still not out of the water with a lot of things that are happening in terms of what COVID did. Also, non-operating revenue, which again, these are the ones we don't have any control, trending ahead of budget by $1 million. And compared to last year, you can see that we're ahead as well. In terms of our debt, we are still in good shape in terms of our ratio as required by some of the granting agencies. You can see that investment income return is starting to creep up again with those increases in the market interest rates by the Fed. It's still not there because it's still catching up a lot of our balances that we had to put in some of the secured investments as opposed to more volatile. And so for the Wells Fargo loan, the interest, as we were requested to report, the amount that was earned was 43,000 versus what we paid on that loan, 53,000. So we won't have that issue with the requiring to pay federal income tax. Cash right now, as of March 31, we're sitting at $41 million. And as you can see, it is less than last year because of all the payments we're making. On the register of demands, you saw 2 payments to JF Shea for the regional plant. One came in at the beginning of the month, the other one at the end of the month. It was just catching those up for a tune of about $5 million, including the retention. We're still within cash in the bank in Wells Fargo of close to $6 million. And the remainder, we did have to push some of the Wells Fargo money to the CalTrust because the actual a regular bank is earning more interest than some of our investments. And so that made sure that we were not going above what we were collecting versus what we were paying. And just a general comment, I am making sure to review finances on a weekly basis right now. Managers and supervisors have been informed that they need to provide information on a weekly basis, monthly, to ensure that if anything happens out of the ordinary, that I am informed so we can better make decisions on waiting for that grant to come in versus what we're spending. And we're still looking good for the rest of 2023 and 2024. I will be presenting some of that information on next month's report and ongoing so that the board can see that information, including some of the costs of the budget for the capital projects, especially the regional plant, because I know that's very important for you to see on a monthly basis. And so that's coming. I'm trying to get caught up with a lot of the stuff that's going on with staff changes and things like that, just to make sure that we provide that to you timely and obviously information that you need to see to make some of the decisions that you make every time you vote. So, and with that, I'll answer any questions.
Okay, Amber, we'll start with you.
Don't go anywhere. In the report, you mentioned the long-range financial plan RFQ. Can you explain to us what services you're looking for with that?
Yeah, so as part of the requirements to look at all our rates and all the revenue that's coming in, all the expenses that we have to put out, the last rate review and long-range financial plan that we did was about 7 years ago. Obviously, we need a more updated information. We've been trying to get this RFP out for several months. It finally did. We had about 4 companies reply, and out of those companies, we chose this one that we're going to bring to you in the next. Actually, it's not within the amount that's coming to the board because it falls under the 75,000 as required for the general manager to make that decision. However, we can bring that to you for additional information. And that's what it is. We need to look at all our revenues and all our expenses to ensure that everything is on track and you're not just taking my word for it, as opposed to an actual professional that does this, with other water agencies, not only in California, but outside as well, that can tell you how we're heading and what changes we need to make, if any, just to make sure that we continue to serve our customers.
Okay. Thank you. And I appreciate that you're doing all of that. I can tell that your reports are starting to give us more information, which helps me a great deal. And I want you to know I recognize that and appreciate it. Green Day Village water supply report. Can we get a copy of this report just so that we can kind of familiarize ourselves on what they're talking about with the Green Day Village water supply?
Yeah, the water supply assessment, that is something that any commercial or residential over 500 units is required to do by state law.
Okay.
And they actually pay us, and then we hire a consultant to do that. Once it's complete, it's part of the planning process. They need that to then go to the planning commission and start that process. So yes, once it is complete, we can share it. Actually, we have to adopt it. So you will see it as a formal board action leading up to, I believe their schedule is to take it to the planning commission in July. So you'll be seeing that in the next 30 to 60 days.
Okay, great. Thank you so
That'll be on
much.
the agenda.
Thank you very, very much. Just a couple more questions, and I don't know who's the best person to answer these. But I did want to thank you for one more thing, Mr. Seha. Thank you for correcting the issue with the payment drop box in the office. I did catch that in the general manager's report, and I know that those who do rely on dropping those cash payments in that box are going to feel more secure knowing that it sinks in and doesn't come back out. So thank you for that. Also, the Dos Palmas lift station, how long until that meter is going to be replaced, and do we know the cost on that meter?
We'll have to get that information and bring that back to you. We'll send out an email to the entire board once we get that information.
Thank you very much. And then I think there's just two more things. 140,000 to Lynch for the well 33. Could we get an update on where we're at with that well 33 project? Thank you.
Good afternoon again, Director Duff. We actually have completed and I know that I'm going to fast forward to April. I'll take Griffith's update. So we have completed the chemical rehab. We've also installed the downhole equipment, the submersible pump, and we are currently running that. So there's a certain requirement of time that we need to run it before we push in the system. So we're doing that. What staff has done, just here recently, has cleaned the reservoir, the suction reservoir. So all that's allowing us to get that completed. We'll go through the disinfection and the sampling process. So in the coming weeks, I believe by the end of April, we'll have that site completely in operation.
Fantastic, you guys. Good job. Thank you. And you might be the same person who I'm asking for an update on the Terrace booster systems, boosters 2, 5, and 6. Can we get a status on how those are going?
Certainly. Next month? No. So 5 and 6 have not been pulled, but booster pump 2 has. And we had a little setback. We had a theft that I believe we spoke about, or we haven't.
Yeah.
Have we not?
We did not bring that
We
up
did.
because
We
we
did
did
not.
not. April.
I'll take the surprise element out of it for next month, but we did have an issue where some of the conductor was stolen and leaving the boosters, the booster stations 1 through 4. But fortunately, we already had booster pump out. It is out, getting repaired. We're ready to get that back and get that site taken care of. 5 and 6 has not. Part of 5, booster 5 had some work, but not the work that's being intended.
Okay.
And 6 is still being planned.
I appreciate that update. And then there was one more thing I noticed in the general manager's report that I hadn't really paid attention to or seen as clearly as I saw this time. The fog violations and how we have sent some letters to businesses that were over 25% grease in their fog traps or what have you.
Correct.
Yeah. So
what is our enforcement process on that? Do we go back in a week and check again? What are we doing to ensure these businesses are being held accountable?
I just want to make sure. So they receive a notice of violation, which gives them 10 business days to correct the violation. So naturally, we do go back.
Okay.
And most businesses, almost all, comply.
Okay.
What we would do is go back and, per the fog program, it's very specific. We would get a past due. We do have to go through that due process. From there, it eventually would lead to turning off their water service. We've never had to do that for our businesses, so fortunately they all comply. But yes, we watch that. Once we issue, it goes under our calendar, and we have a program that we put all that into, and it generates all the reminders as well as our calendars.
So if we just hypothetically speaking, if we had someone who in that 10 days didn't correct the issue, we're having to obviously spend a lot of labor costs following through with this. Is there some sort of penalty amount that gets attached to their bill, or do we do something like that to capture that cost that they incur us?
So there are penalties. So each inspection is, so I'll start again. The annual permit fee covers one inspection. Many facilities pump quarterly, every quarter. So they would be responsible for paying for those costs. Those are some of the things that Arturo and staff will be looking at in our long range financial plan as to some of our staff how much staff time we spend versus how much revenue we collect, so that we can adjust those or look at adjusting those. There are some penalties or some fees that are associated with shutting the service off that are consistent with our normal policy. But as far as the amount of time that's spent to administer the program and deal with some of these programs, those are the things that we'll be looking at, but there's currently no additional cost specifically for those items.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Let me just add to that, not in
Yeah.
addition to the fog program, but also the backflow program. A lot of our ordinances haven't been looked at in many, many years. When we were doing the long range financial plan 7 years ago, it was more of focused at the long range financial plan and rates. One of the things that Arturo did, which was fantastic, is when we were selecting this particular consultant, we wanted to start back at the policies. What policies do we have in place to make sure that they can handle some of these fees and other things that we may not be recuperating, but we should be, especially if somebody's not being compliant. So when we looked at the consultant, Tillis, they presented all that in their RFP or in the response, and that's something they'll be looking at first. So before we start looking at some of the other bigger ticket items, capital improvements and 20-year master plans, we're going to look at also the policies and make sure that we're recouping as much money as we can, because if we can recoup those monies early on, then they don't have to come out of what I would consider the general fund or general activities. So actually putting on the people that aren't compliant.
Yeah, I like that. I guess I'm concerned. I don't want us to follow the city's footsteps in having rules that we then don't enforce. Because rules are great, like Abraham Lincoln said, but if you don't enforce them, they mean nothing, right? So I just want to make sure whatever policies we do enact, that we in tandem enact enforcement actions that go back and forth with that. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Okay, now some background. No, that's fine. When we did the financial strategic plan 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we did it with the community. It was interesting. The results we had, we took almost a year and a half and we met periodically. We discussed these fees for these certain non-compliance issues. The actual community was harder on them than we were, which was interesting. The point being is that we are somewhat limited, and I could let council explain that as to what we can and can't do. We don't have some of the enforcement powers, for example, the city does. And so we got to be careful how we do it. We can charge them, we can figure out fees, but
We don't have general police powers like the city does. So we just have the statutory powers that are granted to us in the water code. But we do have some powers. For example, in the water shortage contingency plan, for violators there, we had a process. First they get a letter and then they get a fine and then they get their water shut off. So there are procedures that we can use where it's authorized.
But to say we could fine them or take them to jail, we can't do that. But we can. We do have some authority.
Anyone to go to jail over their water bill. I just want to make sure we're keeping the balance of the policies and rules we put into place with our ability to enforce them. Otherwise, there's no sense spending the money to make the rule.
Very good point.
Thank you so much.
Anything further?
No, thank you.
Robert? No. Okay. Ed? No.
I didn't have anything more for financial report. But if we're general manager report, I do have one question.
If you what?
If we're on general manager's report.
Yeah. That's
Well, we're
general
kind of going back and
financial
forth. We're also going to have Marion give us a public outreach report.
Okay.
Go ahead, ask.
Yeah, I just had one question on the sludge down at Horton. I saw that we did an interim removal, which I thought was good, but
yes,
it's still a hold up with the long-term.
Yes, we'll bring that back to you next month.
Okay.
Yes. We weren't able to get an agreement on what we approved. And like I said, I'm not gonna do anything that isn't something you've seen and approved.
And at least in the meantime, we have the ability.
In the meantime, we have the interim, which was in my authority to get it. I needed to get that sludge off the site. And we did that. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the public affairs report. Marianne, is she online?
Yes.
Okay.
Here.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Let me pull up my PowerPoint. Thank you, General Manager Wallum, and good afternoon, President Martin and members of the board. Thank you for allowing me to provide some information today about the public affairs activities. Additional information is available in the GM update in your packet. As I mentioned last month, we hit our busy season with events and sponsorships. A few of MSWD participated in the DHS Little League opening ceremonies. You may notice that at the bottom of this screen, you'll see a photo of the MSW team in the dugout and little Monica. She's at bat in her MSWD branded shirt. Also on the screen, there are a couple of images from Saturday's successful Women's Club barbecue and a quick pic from the Rotary Luncheon that our general manager recently spoke at. In addition to this, staff also participated in a very interesting workshop that Congressman Raul Ruiz hosted about 2 weeks ago with President Biden's senior advisor and infrastructure coordinator, Mitch Landrieu. He briefed the audience on the new infrastructure bill and highlighted several new funding opportunities that are being rolled out, some at the state level and some at the federal level. I also wanted to remind everyone about this week's Big Hearts event, which will honor engineering technician Mike Platt as MSWD's Person of the Year. We were also busy in our local schools. On March 20th, Dory and I had the privilege of presenting to some of our local Early Act students. I gave them an overview of the aquifer and where we receive our award-winning water, and Dory followed this up with a hands-on activity in which the students built their own aquifers in a jar and saw how the natural filtration system works. Later in the month, Julio Martinez and I had the chance to visit with students during a career day presentation at Julius Corsini Elementary. The students there enjoyed learning who their water provider is and some of the interesting jobs at the water district. At the end of the presentation, they had a fun competition trying on the field personnel protective equipment, or PPE for short. On April 6th, we held our second Water 101 class and discussed the wastewater system, assessment districts, and our new regional plan. We were very close to capacity in the library, but we had a very fun and interactive session. On May 25th, we will cover finances and the budgeting process, rate making, customer service, and our new customer service portal. The last session in May, after that in June, we'll cover our regional and long-term planning. Not everyone that attended this last meeting will be able to attend the next one. Several of them are snowbirds. So I do invite you and members of the public to join us for our next session. For those that are interested but can't make these dates, we also have already secured the library for the fall for another grouping of classes. For anyone like myself that couldn't attend the Corbs dinner, MSWD's wastewater side of the house won 3 awards at the Colorado River Basin section of the California Water Environmental Association, including Small Plant of the Year for operations and at the Allen L. Horton facility. MSWD's Chief Plant Operator, Lee Boyer, was named Plant Supervisor of the Year, and we received the Community Engagement and Outreach Award for our Protect Your Pipes campaign, reminding everyone to keep flushable wipes and fats, oils, and grease out of the wastewater system. As President Martin mentioned earlier, we were the only wastewater provider to win 3 awards at the annual event. The results of the statewide competition will be announced tomorrow, and we do expect, Wednesday, and we do expect to receive additional honors at the event. After the state event, I will be doing some promotion of the awards and posting on social media so that we can share the good news with our community. In case anyone missed it in the GM report or our event calendar, we will once again celebrate Earth Day by partnering with Cabot's Museum for a free Earth Day celebration. As part of the festivities, attendees will have free access to the museum, and MSWD staff will be present with a resource booth in the courtyard where we will promote the history of our award-winning water and the district's efforts to protect this critical resource. On the customer outreach side, this month we partnered with customer service to promote their new online calendaring system, which April demoed for you last month. We've been sharing links on our website and social media, and we have developed a special bill insert that is being included in all of our April bills. We are also working with customer service to promote 2 LIWAP assistance clinics that are being planned for May 22nd and June 8th. Staff from the Riverside County Community Action Partnership will be here at MSWD to help local residents that meet income qualifications sign up for LIWAP. Previously, customers had to be behind in their payments to receive LifeLock assistance. Now, anyone who meets the income qualifications and the residency qualifications are eligible to receive anywhere from $200 to $371. The final amount is dependent on their household size and income. Anyone with a past due balance can receive more than $2,000 of benefits. We will be marketing these events in the coming month throughout our social media and through flyers around town. Specifically, we'll be going to organizations and targeting customers who may meet the income qualifications. We are also looking to see if there are any other vendors or resources that can be added to these events to help solicit greater attendance. And lastly, but certainly not least, Mother Nature has been playing a few tricks on us this spring, but it is starting to heat up and it's starting to look more like pool weather. Following up on that, I do have a new video that explains to pool owners how they can check for water leaks around their pool.
It's a serene spot on a sweltering summer day. Backyard oasis centered around a swimming pool, but the water never quite seemed full. Was it a mirage, excessive evaporation, or something more sinister? Let's see what it takes to solve this water mystery. Before the case could be investigated, we first had to determine if the missing water was real or imaginary. Don't like the water.
I'm going to pause this. Can you guys hear the video at all?
Not well.
We hear you loud and clear, though.
I'm going to restart it real quick. I'm going to stop sharing and then I'm going to reshare if that's okay. We're going to try this one more time. I apologize. And I'm going to restart this video.
On a sweltering summer day.
That sound better?
A backyard oasis centered around a swimming
Yes,
pool.
much better.
Water never quite seemed full. Was it a mirage, excessive evaporation, or something more sinister? Let's see what it takes to solve this water mystery. Before the case could be investigated, we first had to determine if the missing water was real or imaginary.
I felt like the water was going down little by little each day, but I couldn't be sure. It was driving me crazy. That's when I began collecting evidence. I would take hourly measurements of water levels, photographs from multiple angles, and even water testing samples. I spent countless hours studying the data, trying to see if there was a connection. Then one day, when I was out by the pool, I tripped over a bucket. It reminded me of some helpful advice in the MSWD to detect pool leaks. I placed the bucket in the pool on the top step and filled it, so the water level in the bucket matched the water level in the pool. I left it alone for 24 hours. When I checked the next day, the water level in the pool went down more than the water in the bucket. Finally, I confirmed the pool had a leak.
With the leak theory confirmed through the simple bucket test, it was time to find the leak. But was this beyond their depth of knowledge? So they called in a pool professional to locate and repair it.
Finally, I can enjoy my pool and my sanity once again, knowing my water wasting days were over.
Another water mystery solved thanks to a helpful tip found on the Mission Springs Water District website. Until our next case, visit mswd.org for more water answers.
And that concludes my presentation. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Question, Marianne, who writes the script for these little films you put on there? Do you do that, or?
It's a combination of CV Strategies and myself. We kind of go back and forth and brainstorm ideas, and then they give me a draft, and then we kind of tweak them so that it matches with what we are promoting.
And they're really outstanding, really very impressive, very entertaining. So, anybody have any comments or questions on there? Ted, Robert?
Actually, I do. It's kind of funny. He's kind of got the protected witness thing, but then there's a clear picture of him at the pool. So I kind of thought that was a little odd.
A little campy, I think.
Amber?
Great job. You're keeping us laughing. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Marion. Okay, anything further from the general manager's report?
I just wanted to add, sorry, that the one thing that was very compelling to me when we were at this federal infrastructure funding, which will amount to about $1.3 trillion. And Dr. Ruiz did, I think, a wonderful job. I think a lot of that money is going to be targeted towards the East Valley and getting water to a lot of the infrastructure out there. I was surprised at how much interest there was in water. I thought it would be consumed with transportation and other issues. Water is getting to be more and more important, but there is waves of this $1.3 trillion coming out. But the thing we're going to need to be is very tenacious about getting in to that pot of funding. But what was encouraging is, I mean, I thought this funding would dry up at some point, and now it seems to be more prevalent than ever. I mean, there's going to be a lot of opportunities in the future. That's the good news. And the only other thing I wanted to let you know, and I can let you have copies, there was a 41-page review of a PowerPoint presentation at the Regional Water Board meeting last time. Basically, it showed the funding for all of these projects, but I just thought I'd make us a little more comfortable of how solid our project is in the funding. Out of that, there were only 3 projects that had executed agreements, defined as executed agreements, and our $68,627,000 was on that list. There are literally dozens of other requests in there from other agencies, a lot from CVWD. And just as a point of interest, when I first started,
sounds like you're bragging to me.
No, when I first started here, some of those agencies thought that was sort of people pursuing grants were only for those poorly run districts, and now they all seem to be going at them more than ever. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Good report. Good report. Moving on to item 18, district council comments.
Yes, and I gave my report on Thursday.
Okay, all right. And will there be a closed session today?
I believe so. It's
Okay. Be very quick.
Okay. Moving on to item 19, director's comments. Ted?
Yes, I asked for some information, and maybe the staff can look over that email from a month ago to get that caught up.
We did send you some information, said thanks, and I'm waiting to hear back.
Mr. Wallem, your mic, please.
Waiting to hear back.
There's still some
additional information you might.
Well, yeah, there's still some. I sent you a list because we just never got.
Okay, we went through the list, and if there's something more, then let me know. I'll be glad to try to provide it to you. Yes.
Yeah, look at the email and see what you answered.
Okay.
I would also like to get a copy of the letter that was sent out to the residents for explaining their water bill going on the tax roll. As you know, I'm not
Okay, Arturo, send the board that copy. We usually we do.
Yeah, well, I'm not a customer, so I didn't get it in the mail. Next thing is Brian and I, we went out and took a look at the Desert Crest treatment plant. And I was kind of a little upset over the contractor not doing his job out there. But it turns out the contractor was never mentioned, that Desert Crest was never mentioned in the contract with the landscape contractor. I'm at the point here where unless I see the final signature from whoever we're making these contracts with, that I'm just not going to go along with it. I'd also like to see the people that we're making these contracts with to show up, or at least do it by Zoom or whatever. Here we are with one of our contracts here with our sludge. I remember I asked for a 30-day continuance on that one, and here we are 60 days down the road. And I'm glad you took care of it, Arden, and didn't, do anything that the board might not have approved. But it just, we need to be more involved with, before we approve something. I believe that personally, I believe the board needs to be more involved with what's actually going on in that contract, and approving it ahead before it's signed doesn't make much sense to me, never has. The next thing is, since we're saving all this money now, I would like to make a motion that we look into that insurance for our employees, for their animals. See if we can't get some kind of group insurance plan for them. It's very expensive, I know. I don't say we have to cover all of it, but at least we could look into it and see if there isn't some kind of group plan for them.
Well, we won't be able to make a motion because, sorry.
Can't make that one.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda, so you can't make a motion on that. So if you have.
And well, I'd like to request for it to be put on next month's agenda.
Where you submit it?
I don't have anything.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? No, okay.
Just before I do my comments along those lines, this Thursday, Director Martin and myself were both on the HR committee, and we'll be taking requests from the employees of possible benefits they'd like to see added. And so the employees are welcome to bring that up, and it could be something we consider. That's all I have on that. My only comment was just that this Thursday is our Big Heart Awards. And congratulations again to our Mission Springs winner, Mike Platt. And we have 14 other Desert Hot Springs residents or people that work within the city that have given their heart to Desert Hot Springs. And I know that on our Mission Springs calendar, it does say that tickets are no longer available, but general admission tickets are still available should anyone like to attend. Ticket sales close tomorrow. You can find the link on our Rotary Facebook or eventbrite.com. Thank you.
Okay. Amber?
Just a brief comment that I had forgotten to make earlier that was a statement, so I think it's appropriate for me to just make it now. When we were talking about the restrictions and we chose as a board to allow them to just sunset unless the state votes otherwise in regards to the drought restrictions, I just want to take a second and once again, I've said this before, but I want to commend our community as a whole. We really are fortunate as a water district to have a community of people that do take this resource that is so precious to all of us so seriously. It's interesting coming from the coast where we were so concerned about what ended up into the ocean and where it went and how did it get there. And here, when you're new in town and you're getting used to things, it's so heartwarming to see your community doing what's necessary to protect the land and our resources. That being said, given the unstable environment of the Colorado River and its water split between the 7 states and the federal government getting involved, which can potentially only complicate things further. I just want to again reiterate to our community, regardless of what rules are in place, continue to do the good job in conserving water, continue to pay attention and bring it to MSWD's attention if you need help. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob?
Well, I don't have much to say because, again, someone did all that for me. I did bring one Thursday. Despite all these declarations, everyone thinks the drought's over and we can go ahead and just use as much water as possible. And we have this great supply. But as Director Duff has alluded to, the upcoming negotiations and possibly ruling by the federal government on the Colorado River resources and the cuts that may be imposed, and that does affect us in a form, are something we all have to be aware of. And so I think that what we need to do is stop talking about drought and look at it more from a water supply standpoint in that our supply, it's no different than your bank account. You know, one year you win the lottery, and if you blow all that money, then you're broke for the next 3 years. It's the same thing with the water here. So we had a good water year, but that doesn't mean the next ones won't be. So let's save it for quote unquote non-rainy day.
The drought is not over.
If there's nothing else, meeting is adjourned. We will be going into a closed session. We'll take a 5-minute break before going into closed session.
And the closed session will be on item number 20.
Okay. We're back in regular session. Legal counsel, would you report out for us, please?
Yes, the board met in closed session. Public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, the title general manager, and there was no reportable action taken.
Okay. If there's nothing further, then this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.